March 19th, 1,945 50 miles off Japan's jagged coast, the aircraft carrier USS Franklin trembled like a wounded beast under a relentless barrage of explosions. It was the 23rd blast in under an hour, each one ripping through her steel guts with apocalyptic fury. Lieutenant Commander Joseph O'Callahan, the ship's Catholic chaplain, clenched the twisted railing, his priestly robes singed and soot-blackened, as choking black smoke belched from every hatch and doorway. The attack had struck at dawn's fragile light. A lone Japanese dive bomber, shrouded in heavy overcast, slipped radar's grasp and unleashed two 550-pound bombs. The first punched through the flight deck amid three fully armed planes, detonating on the hangar deck below where 22 more aircraft waited, their tanks brimming with over 15,000 gallons of volatile aviation gasoline. The blast ignited a fireball that sprayed fuel like liquid demon fire, consuming the 400-foot hangar in seconds. Bombs, rockets, and machine gun rounds cooked off in a symphony of chaos. Tiny Tim rockets broke free and ricocheted like unguided missiles, punching through bulkheads and spawning fresh blazes. Within minutes, Franklin was a drifting ghost ship, dead in the water, her propulsion choked by smoke, fire mains shattered, electrics fried. What saved her? Those fog nozzles, rejected innovations from a New York firefighter's stubborn vision, conjuring misty curtains that cooled superheated steel without flooding the ship into oblivion. Her story whispers a deeper intrigue, how a civilian's little drops of water defied naval dogma, reshaping warfare from Pearl Harbor's ashes. Part 1. The Inferno aboard USS Franklin. March 19th, 1,945 50 miles off Japan's jagged coast, the aircraft carrier USS Franklin trembled like a wounded beast under a relentless barrage of explosions. It was the 23rd blast in under an hour, each one ripping through her steel guts with apocalyptic fury. Lieutenant Commander Joseph O'Callahan, the ship's Catholic chaplain, clenched the twisted railing, his priestly robes singed and soot-blackened, as choking black smoke belched from every hatch and doorway. Below, on the hangar deck turned hellscape, sailors wielded fog nozzles, those unassuming garden hose like sprayers, aiming misty veils into the inferno, devouring fueled aircraft and ammunition. 3 years prior, Navy brass would have scoffed at such toy equipment against a carrier's fuel-fed nightmare. But today, these fog nozzles stood as the fragile lifeline for 700 souls teetering on annihilation's edge. The attack had struck at dawn's fragile light. A lone Japanese dive bomber, shrouded in heavy overcast, slipped radar's grasp and unleashed two 550-pound bombs. The first punched through the flight deck amid three fully armed planes prepped for strike, detonating on the hangar deck below where 22 more aircraft waited, their tanks brimming with over 15,000 gallons of volatile aviation gasoline. The blast ignited a fireball that sprayed fuel like liquid demon fire, consuming the 400-foot hangar in seconds. Bombs, rockets, and machine gun rounds cooked off in a symphony of chaos. Tiny Tim rockets, those 11-foot behemoths with 138-pound warheads, broke free and ricocheted like unguided missiles, punching through bulkheads and spawning fresh blazes. The second bomb tore into crew berthing near the number 3 elevator, vaporizing dozens and rupturing fuel lines that fed the flames across 3 decks. Within minutes, Franklin was a drifting ghost ship, dead in the water, her propulsion choked by smoke, fire mains shattered, electrics fried. A 13-degree starboard list threatened capsize as ruptured pipes and desperate water sprays pooled. Casualties mounted horrifically, 300 dead in the initial fury, hundreds burned or shredded by shrapnel, medbays overwhelmed as men leaped into the sea or were blown overboard. O'Callahan, no stranger to divine intervention pleas, rallied cooks, clerks, anyone breathing, fight the devil's work. Beside him, Lieutenant Donald A. Gary plunged into smoke-choked passages, fog nozzle in hand, carving paths to trap souls 3 decks down. What saved her? Those fog nozzles, rejected innovations from a New York firefighter's stubborn vision. At crippled water pressures, pumps failed, mains ruptured, they conjured misty curtains that cooled superheated steel without flooding the ship into oblivion. Teams rotated in hellish shifts, extension applicators probing lethal zones from afar, steam from droplets, smothering oxygen while absorbing heat that solid streams would have scattered like kindling. O'Callaghan directed volleys into magazine vents, averting detonation that would have erased Franklin from existence. Gary's 7 infernal rescues pulled 252 from suffocating tombs, fog shields parting the toxic veil just enough for mercy. As Santa Fe nudged alongside in a suicidal assist, passing pumps and hoses, the tide turned after 8 grueling hours. Fires guttered out by nightfall, though hotspots smoldered for days. Franklin limped home under her own steam, a scorched testament to survival against odds that screamed total loss. Her story whispers a deeper intrigue, how a civilian's little drops of water defied naval dogma, reshaping warfare from Pearl Harbor's ashes. But that transformation? It began not with admirals, but with a firefighter's fight against flames and tenement shadows, persistence forging tools that tamed the Pacific's firestorms. Part 2: Pearl Harbor's Fiery Reckoning. The seeds of this naval revolution were sown in blood and fire on a serene Sunday morning, the 7th of December 1941, when Japanese aircraft shattered Pearl Harbor's illusion of invincibility. In less than 2 hours, the Pacific Fleet's battleship row became a graveyard of flames, exposing a chilling truth. America's naval might was crippled not just by bombs and torpedoes, but by an archaic firefighting doctrine that turned survivable wounds into fatal infernos. Imagine the complacency of peacetime Hawaii sailors lounging on sun-drenched decks, officers sipping coffee in wardrooms shattered by the wail of dive bombers. The cultural shock rippled through a nation still debating isolationism, forcing a reckoning with unpreparedness that haunted survivors for decades. Battleship Arizona's doom epitomized the tragedy. At 8:06 a.m., a 1,760-pound armor-piercing bomb plunged through her deck, igniting the forward magazine in a cataclysmic blast that lifted her 33,000-ton hull partially from the water. The shockwave shattered windows miles away, felt across Oahu like an earthquake from hell. Her back broken, the bow plunged to the harbor bottom, while fires ravaged the stern, trapping 1,177 men below in suffocating heat and flood. Damage control parties, armed with straight-bore nozzles and bucket brigades, poured solid streams that scattered burning oil, worsening the blaze rather than quenching it. What if one innovative report, buried in pre-war files, had prompted fog nozzle trials? Arizona might have limped away, scarred but salvageable, her crew's ghost spared. Oklahoma capsized in agonizing slow motion, torpedoes ripping her hull as she rolled to port in 12 minutes, bottom skyward. 429 sailors pounded desperately from inverted compartments, their echoes haunting rescuers wielding acetylene torches for days. Fires from ruptured fuel fed the chaos, but crews lacked tools to cool superheated spaces or fight oil-slicked waters. West Virginia settled into mud, her decks ablaze for 30 hours with oil fires defying containment vapors from damaged tanks, reignited attempts, killing 106. California's 3-day sink was dual-doomed by torpedoes and unchecked flames through her superstructure, claiming 104 lives as solid streams flooded her unevenly, accelerating the plunge. Nevada alone tried to flee, her captain ordering underway to escape the inferno. But bomb-sparked fires raced faster than damaged teams could chase, threatening magazines in an Arizona redux. Beached off Hospital Point, she burned on, her escape thwarted by Doctrine's failure, the pattern damning. More ships lost to secondary fires than direct hits. Bombs started blazes, but obsolete tactics rooted in wooden ship eras spread them unchecked through steel corridors, cooking ammunition and overwhelming parties with inadequate gear. Survivor guilt festered. One officer later confessed in letters the helplessness of watching comrades die from flames they couldn't touch, their training a cruel joke against modern petroleum hells. This catastrophe forced introspection. Among analysts was Lieutenant Harold J. Burke, FDNY veteran thrust into naval service, whose urban-honed eyes saw Pearl's fires as tenement echoes writ large. His reports, blending municipal successes with physics of mist versus torrent, warned of doom without change, yet bureaucracy slumbered. As smoke cleared, the intrigue deepened. Could a firefighter's rejected wisdom avert the Pacific's coming firestorms, or would tradition claim more hulls? Part 3. Enter Harold J. Burke, The Firefighter's Odyssey. From the gritty bowels of 1,920 seconds, New York City emerged Harold J. Burke, a firefighter forged in urban infernos that would make naval officers blanch. Joining FDNY amid horse-drawn engines and century-old tactics, Burke rose through ranks in a metropolis of extremes. Manhattan's gleaming towers juxtaposed against Lower East Side tenements crammed with immigrants, 20 souls per floor in wooden tinderboxes. Picture him in 1929, charging into a blazing warehouse on the waterfront, turpentine paints and chemicals birthing flames no solid hose could tame until fog nozzles turned mist to miracle, smothering vapors and cooling steel beams that glowed cherry red. One haunting night, a comrade perished in a collapsed wall. Burke's vow at the funeral, "No more needless deaths," ignited his crusade for smarter, not harder, firefighting. By the late 1930 seconds, as war drums beat, Burke commanded as deputy chief, overseeing borough-spanning ops, training, and doctrine amid FDNY's innovation vanguard. Municipal departments, battle-tested daily, pioneered fog nozzles for flammable liquids where solid streams dangerously disperse fuel. Burke witnessed warehouse blazes quelled in minutes post-fog, petroleum fires starved by steam veils. He mastered physics. Tiny droplets, vast surface area, absorbing heat exponentially, indirect attacks, cooling superheated gases before entry lessons from tenement traps where wood to liquid shifts demanded nuance. Contrast this with Navy's sail-era rigidity. Burke's civilian lens saw warships as floating tenements, aviation gas as warehouse naphtha. Called to active duty in 1941, Lieutenant Burke inspected ports, alarmed by straight-bore nozzles and bucket drills unchanged since clipper ships. Sailors, brave but ignorant, faced steel's heat conduction and 150,000-gallon gas threats with volume over physics mindset. Questioning officers on gas fires yielded blank stares. Douse the base. Burke countered with FDNY-proof fog steam smothering flames without spread, met by irritation at landlubber meddling. His reports piled up, advocating fog adoption, but tradition scoffed. The surprise twist: Burke's wartime commission wasn't random. A pre-Pearl exercise nearly demoed fog, quashed by admirals fearing unmanly mist. Pearl Harbor's ashes revived his fight, thrusting this tenement warrior into naval salvation's unlikely vanguard. Burke's Odyssey bridged worlds, urban chaos birthing tactics for sea behemoths. His persistence, born of lost brothers and blazing nights, challenged a service wedded to torrents. As ships burned post-war, his fog vision promised droplets' quiet power, a civilian's grit versus admiral's pride, setting stage for revolution amid Pacific pyres. Part 4. Naval Firefighting's Fatal Flaws Exposed. Burke's inspections unveiled naval firefighting's fatal obsolescence, a doctrine mired in 19th century ghosts, ill-suited for steel leviathans, brimming with aviation peril. Pre-war Navy clung to bucket brigades, sailors passing pails hand-to-hand, or solid streams from straight-bore nozzles, evolved little since 1800s. Emphasis: overwhelm with volume, charge interiors aggressively, douse flames at base. Fine for wooden ships' canvas smolders or quartered blazes, but carriers? Miles of gas piping, bomb-laden hangars, fires superheated steel into death traps, conducting blaze like fuses. Burke found hydrants galore, monitors gushing thousands gallons, yet no grasp that solid jets scattered burning fuel, spreading hell rather than halting it. Confrontations crackled tension. Aboard a carrier, Burke grilled officers on gas fire drills. Solid stream to the seat, they boasted. He demonstrated with a bucket of oil, stream splatters blaze wider, drawing irritated glares. Civilian nonsense, one snapped, echoing tradition's grip. Damage schools drilled hose stretches, pressure maintenance, seat attacks, silent on fire, physics, liquid behaviors, superheat dangers. No cooling before entry, no vapor awareness, water on oil, catastrophe. Burke's reports screamed deficiencies, adopt fog for mist heat absorption, steam smother, overhaul training. Filed away with perfunctory nods, dismissed as unsea-tested theory from a reservist. Creative physics analogies haunted him, naval streams like garden hoses on skyscraper blazes, feudal floods versus FDNY's surgical mists. A near twist, 1,940 exercises toyed with fog prototypes, but budget hawks and purists killed it, deeming adequate for wooden-era ghosts. Pearl Harbor's post-mortem confirmed fears. Photos of oil-smeared decks, survivor tales of scattered flames, flooded capsizes. Solid streams intensified blazes, drove teams back by uncoolable heat, cooked ammo unchecked. Psychological toll, helplessness bred despair. Sailors abandoned posts, convinced fire invincible. Burke persisted, channeling tenement grit against institutional walls. His vision? Fog's versatility patterns, cooling from afar, minimal water preserving stability. As war escalated, this exposure ignited his bureaucratic war. Intrigue mounting, could one man's warnings pierce Navy pride before more hulls fed flames? Part 4. Naval Firefighting's Fatal Flaws Exposed. Post-Pearl damage teams swarmed, photographing wreckage, grilling, survivors revealing fires as true killers, turning hits survivable into tombs. Burke's reports, laced with municipal parallels and fog data, urged overhaul physics of droplet absorption, steam displacement, yet met hostility. Officers sneered at city sprays for ships, fog's mist seeming feeble versus stream's roar. Resistance rooted deep, admitting doctrine flaws blamed Pearl on more than surprise. Fleet-wide retrofits cost fortunes, retraining thousands upended traditions, defining pride. Bureaucratic inertia shielded egos, framing change as needless amid shipbuilding frenzy. War's toll mounted, validating Burke. May 1942's Coral Sea. Lexington survived torpedoes, fires initially contained, then vapor explosion birthed interior infernos. Solid streams, scattered gas and hydraulics, heat-cooked ammo, 216 died as she scuttled a fleet carrier lost to uncontrollables. September's Wasp torpedoed off Solomons, spilled gas into hangar blaze. Stream spread pools across decks, power loss halved pressure, rendering them impotent. 3 hours futile. 193 dead, scuttled, destroyers exploded magazines in minutes, cruisers burned post-torpedo. Each loss screamed Burke's truth, yet inertia prioritized hulls over tactics. Creative survivor testimonies chilled. A Lexington sailor whispered of flames, dancing mockingly as water fueled them, guilt etching souls. What ifs tantalized, fog-equipped, might Lexington have fought Leyte Gulf? Bureaucratic intrigue boiled. Admirals King's queries pressured Bureau of Ships, spotlighting why Navy faltered where FDNY triumphed oils. Burke needed clout. Inner Rear Admiral Edward L. Cochrane, November 1942's engineer chief, innovation-minded from WWI destroyer builds. Cochrane's technical grilling tested Burke droplet sizes, steam rates, yielding practical FDNY proofs. Skepticism lingered, proof demanded. As ships burned, pressure cracked walls, Burke's revolution teetered on demonstration's edge, promising twists from rejection to redemption. Part 6. The Pivotal Demonstration. Cochrane's alliance cracked resistance. His engineering savvy demanded data, not dogma. Burke's pivotal demo brewed in a week's frenzy. Naval Yard burn site, 100-octane gas mimicking carrier hells, steel mock-up echoing ship confines. Instruments track temps, flows, times objective, air refuge. FDNY and Navy vets operated, isolating equipment's edge. Observers mixed, curious innovators, tradition scoffers eyeing civilian follies fall. Burke's pitch, 3 burns, solid stream, fog, side by side, 20 gallons gas each. First, inferno roars, solid jet scatters fuel, flames flare wider. 5-7 to quench, 420 gallons, 400 degrees Fahrenheit remnants. Floods risking capsize. Observers sweated radiant heat, doubt flickering. Second, fog's wide mist blankets overhead, droplets devouring heat, steam smothering, 32 out, 75 gallons, 300 degrees Fahrenheit safe, minimal wet. Dramatic, flames wilted like vanquished foes. Third, fog knocks in a minute, solid struggles. Cochrane's awe sealed it. High-stakes emotion piqued Burke's all-night doubts, whispering comrades' ghosts for strength. Skeptics' jaws dropped as mist triumphed roar. Demonstrated, Cochrane declared, tasking fleet retrain, objections combat chaos, cost silence by data, thrice faster, fifth water, lives paramount. This visual, quantifiable coup shattered inertia, Burke's persistence birthing Doctrine's dawn amid war's pyres. Part Sept, revolutionizing training programs. Burke and Lieutenant Kilduff, Boston FD veteran, revolutionized training realism over rote confidence via combat-like drills. Boston Yard's June 1942 annex, steel mock-ups from scraps mimic confines, hangar prop birthing gas fires like Lexington's doom. Props instrumented for safety push limits, engine oils, birthing Class A, basics escalating horrors. Curriculum, Day 1 physics and fog theory, 4 hours, then suited dives into live blazes, protective gear, breathers, team drills, advancing mists. Intensity built, Day 2 flashover sims, fog cooling gases, Day 3 hangar rescues amid smoke zero viz. Temps hit 600 degrees Fahrenheit, fear forged competence, sailors emerged, heroes. Training's terror easing combat's edge. Vignette, timid recruit, tenement phobic, masters missed, later saved shipmates. First 260 instructors, 3-week intensive, fanned nationwide San Diego, August, Norfolk, September, Great Lakes, et al. By year's end. Selection, FDNY reserves blending expertise, teaching, psyche repetition, builds memory, fear yields grit. Standardization, unified fleet, identical props, tactics, ensuring seamless coords. Officers drilled leadership, tabletops triaging fires. By 1943, thousands fog-fluent, psyche shifted fire foe, not fate. Early accidents spurred safety twists, Burke's vision scaling salvation. Part 8, Fleet-wide equipping and early victories. Rockwood's Worcester factory surged, churning thousands monthly, 5 halves, 5-inch nozzles, 3-position versatility, extensions for remote strikes. Precision machining, salt clog cleans taught. Costs, piddling $75, nozzle versus carrier's millions. New builds integrated, retrofits via Ulithi chains prioritize Pacific hulls. By 1944, near universal, solids backup for reach. Early wins validated November 1943, Birmingham's torpedo fires cooled via vents, 40 minutes saved. Spence's bomb berthing killed minimally wet. Lafay's Okinawa kamikaze barrage 4 bombs. 6 crashes fog suppressed gas without spread. Trent Day dead but afloat. South Dakota's magazine threat fog smothered Trent sink minutes. Supply hurdles, wartime steel shortages, but persistence prevailed. Anecdotes. Destroyer crew's miracle mist averts battle loss, tide turning. Confidence soared, Burke's droplets proving strategic saviors. Part 9. Franklin's October Trial and Ultimate Ordeal. Franklin's October 1944 Leyte Gulf kamikaze pierced flight deck, exploding amid 33 armed planes, gas fireball, cooking ordnance, train teams, fog-attacked, multi-angle, extensions, cooling vents, 2.5 hours quelled 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit warp, 56 dead but operational in weeks. Lessons, chord tweaks, confidence forged. March 1945's Ordeal. Dawn bombers bombs ignite, 53 planes, 15,000 gallons. Tiny Tim's ricochet, ammo fusillades, 300 instant dead, list 17 degrees, dead drift. O'Callahan rallies ragtag, faith-fueled. Gary's fog curtain rescues save 252 from 500 degrees Fahrenheit tombs, 7 inferno runs. Low-pressure fogs shine, extensions probe. Santa Fe's pumps, hoses aid evacuation. 8 hours turn tide. Analysis credits mist's efficiency. Chaplain's prayers amid blasts. Trap despairs humanity. Fog's quiet heroism, defying doom. Part 10. Legacy, Innovations, and Enduring Lessons. Burke's legacy. Thousands lives, dozens ships, saved Franklin's 2,000 survivors alone. Nimitz hailed fog, training for kamikaze endurance. Post-war. Burke's brief FDNY chief nod infuses naval realism. Layman's Coast Guard fog science loops to civilians. Little drops, revolutionizing structures. Fog endures to Forrestal's 1,967 wake up, supplementing foam. Broader truths. Civilian outsiders spark change via demos. Champions like Cochrane. Standardized training scales wins. Burke's mystery post-war obscurity intrigues. Modern parallels urging cross-pollination. His droplets toppled traditions, birthing confident damage control culture. Forgotten heroes monument. Franklin's scarred sail past liberty. Lives preserved proving persistence's profound punch.